So we're going to be going over the free agency losses the Niners suffered during this offseason. And so headlining the group, we have Jimmy G, who went to the Raiders on a 3-year, $72 million deal. Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle for the Niners, who is now playing for the Broncos on a 5-year, $87 million deal, which I think is a bit absurd, given that his production wasn't perfect for the Niners. Brunskill went to the Titans. On the defense side, they lost a ton of players, along with their defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, who went to the Texans. So a couple guys went to the Texans with him, and like Hassan Ridgeway, the D-tackle, Jimmy Ward, the safety. Jimmy Ward at that point had lost his job to Deshaun Gibson, who was supposed to be filling in for him due to his hamstring injury in like week 1. Samson Ebicom went to the Colts. Charles Menahu signed with the Chiefs. Jordan Willis, like a rotational guy, ended up signing with the Raiders. Azeez Al-Shaair went to Titans as well, along with Brunskill. And then Tavarius Moore went to the Green Bay Packers. And then Emmanuel Mosley got signed to the Detroit Lions. So yeah, they lost a ton of starters and depth players on the defensive side of the ball. And then I guess not as many players on the offensive side, but still. Losing a right tackle isn't that great, so that could be something they could add in the draft. In response to the free agency losses, the Niners made a couple of free agency additions, and a pretty significant one at that in Javon Hargrave, who signed a 4-year, $84 million deal with $40 million guaranteed. He was on the Eagles last year, and he got 11 sacks and contributed a ton to their run to the Super Bowl. They got Sam Darnold, the former 3rd overall pick from the Panthers, who I think could play in week 1, depending on both Trey Lance and Brock Purdy's injury situation. And then you got John Feliciano from the Giants. He's a longtime starter for the Bills. He played both center and guard, so he's got flexibility there if, say, Aaron Banks goes down or Brendel does. Then you got Cleveland Farrell, former 4th overall pick from the Raiders. He hasn't worked out so far, but he's a good depth rotational guy. Austin Bryant from the Lions is as well. Isaiah Oliver, the corner from the Falcons. And then Miles Hartsfield, safety from the Panthers, who follow Steve Wilkes, the new defensive coordinator from Carolina. And then in terms of guys who got re-signed to the team, you got Jake Brendel. He started I think every single game for the Niners last year after Alex Mack retired. And you got Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles as a swing tackle depth option. Juwan Jennings, another receiver who could add to their depth behind Debo and Ayuk. Ross Donnelly, the blocking tight end. T.Y. McGill, Kevin Givens, more defensive line depth. And the aforementioned Deshaun Gibson Sr. I guess he played well enough to get himself another contract. And last we got the long snapper Tabor Peppers. In terms of draft needs, Niners have a couple positions that they could look to address in tackle, especially since McGlinchey left in free agency. So having a starting right tackle who can protect whoever is at quarterback, whether that be Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, or even Sam Darnold, is definitely a priority. I mean, evidently, without a quarterback, they could not function as an offense. And then cornerback is definitely another key area, with only Travarius Ward on the outside and then Deommodore Lenoir, even though he's upcoming corner. I'd feel safer having another corner who can actually start and play well. Next up, we got safety. Deshaun Gibson just re-signed on a 1-year deal, so it's definitely a short-term solution. So definitely getting a couple safeties here in the draft to help out Talanoa Hufanga. Definitely a good idea because George Odom is honestly a special teamer. And yes, he's played some safety for the Colts before, but still, having more guys at true safety would be better. And then you got the D linemen. I think having Nick Bosa and then Drake Jackson on the outside is awesome, but with almost no one else behind them, I don't think I feel safe. Getting an edge is important. D tackles as well. I think the amount of injuries the Niners have suffered over the past years, from Arik Armstead to Nick Bosa, it just shows you how much depth you need. So even though they got Javon Kinlaw, Arik Armstead, and their new free agent signing in Javon Hargrave, the Gravedigger, I think taking a couple D tackles is a good idea. And lastly, we got linebacker. You could definitely add special teams value through linebackers. think that having depth behind Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, who's going into his final year of his contract, is definitely important. Now that we know the draft needs for the 49ers, let's get right into drafting and improving their team. So the Niners basically have the first pick in the 3rd round, and they've only got like 4 original picks and then 7 compensatory picks, which is a league high, which totals to 11 picks in this draft. Safety here with Anthony Johnson is a good idea. Here we can pull up his description, but he's basically a corner who converted to safety, so he's got versatility there. So he can basically line up with tight ends and become like a tight end raiser, such as Eric Rowe, who played for the Dolphins, and I think he signed with the Panthers earlier this week. He's got decent size at 6 foot, and then he just played all around. He played in the slot, in the box. Not a ton like on the outside corner because he's a safety, right? You can also look to draft Moro Ojomo, Kobe Turner, or Wanya Morris. That could sell the tackle spot, and then we wouldn't have to worry about that later on in the draft because it'll be much harder to draft a starting caliber tackle the further down you go. But Dorian Williams, he's extremely athletic and just has a nose for the ball. If you ever seen him tackle, it's just absolutely bizarre how he like fell this far. Because the way he hits is just so hard, and then he covers really well. Really natural athlete, honestly. We have a ton of options here. We can go safety, guard, tackle, D-line. But I think that tackle is going to be really scarce. Maybe taking Wanya Morris here with the Niners' first pick would be a good idea. Yeah, now I can look to address maybe on the defensive side of the ball. And in terms of safeties, I'm sure there's a ton. Let's see. Got Anthony Johnson, Corey Trice, another huge corner. Oh, Sean Tucker's still here. IJ Spears, teammate of Dorian Williams, Riley Moss, Eli Ricks. Oh, JL Skinner, he got injured. Like, it's like a serious injury, so he's probably not going to play his first year. But he's definitely a top safety if he didn't get injured. But yeah, he's 6'4". He's literally built like a linebacker. Yeah, Ivan Pace as well. Ooh, Keishawn Butte. I don't know why he just underperformed at LSU, but he has all the talent in the world. I think that he could become a good receiver. So far in this class, he probably won't go until like the day 2 range. But we can go with corner here. Either Riley Moss, Eli Ricks. We can go Eli Ricks. I think he has good size, 6'2". That's from LSU. He didn't play all that well for Alabama, but I think he's still got talent, which is what you're looking for in the draft. And you're supposed to develop him into a better player. I think I'm going to avoid Carl Brooks for now just because he played at a smaller school. And I guess the competition there might be a bit easier, but there's nothing against it. I'm sure he's an awesome player himself. Anthony Johnson's still here. I mean, it would be a value. You can pick up Anthony Johnson. But, Dwayne McBride, he fumbled a ton. Like, he fumbled 5 times this year. Like, even though he had 700 yards, I think those 5 turnovers are going to be what some people are going to be looking at. And then, but otherwise, he's a really good running back. Maybe not a good fit for the Shanahan offense where they run a lot of wide zone, but nevertheless, he's a good running back. I think that we could take Dorian Williams here. They've only got Fred Warner on a long-term contract and Dre Greenlaw's in his final year. And next offseason, he'll become a free agent. They just lost Azeez Al-Shaair. And then their third starting linebacker will be Oren Burks, who's more of a special teamer. So I think taking Dorian Williams there was a need for sure. Anthony Johnson Jr. still here. Okay. Oh, Maarten Mapu. If I remember correctly, he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's basically a linebacker. He can drop in the box, no problem. But yeah, he's a 6'3", essentially linebacker. He could be converted into linebacker if he wanted. But he played at a smaller school as well, Sacramento State, against lesser competition. He was all over the field, in the slot, in the box, and on the D-line as well. It's definitely an interesting one. Starling Thomas, he's got blazing speed out of UAB. Corey Trice. Kean Mitchell is a very Shanahan-style running back. He just has lots of speed, and he's used to running those wide zone schemes at East Carolina. So we could look to add him. Jonah Tavai, we could look to add on the D line. I'd be interested in that. Who's Roderick Martin? 2 sacks, 2 hits. Oh, he's more of a nose tackle to 2 tech guy. He's a poor man's Jordan Davis. And that he's a towering 6'5", 337-pound nose tackle. Oh, Brandon Joseph is still here? Wow. I like Brandon Joseph a lot. Keitrell Clark is awesome. He's a really cool slot corner. Dude, I love this range of DBs. But behind Javon Hargrave and Arik Armstead, there's just Javon Kinlaw and no one else. There's T.Y. McGill, Kevin Givens there, and they've invested in that through free agency. So maybe we can put off that for now. So let's go with a safety. Anthony Johnson Jr. has fallen far enough. You can pick it here. Oh, we just got another pick. Daniel Scott, Jonah Tavai, Martin Mapu, Sterling Thomas. I want to see Corey Trice more. He was definitely an outside corner. He only lined up in the slot 20 times this year. He had 2 interceptions, built like a linebacker. Huge guy. Oh man, he's 6'3". So he took a corner, took a safety, took a tackle, and a linebacker. Maybe we address the D-line now. I like Jonah Tavai, even though he played at San Diego State. Let's take Broderick Martin out of Western Kentucky. He can play nose and then just be a rotational guy for now. He doesn't have to start because you got Hargrave, you got Kinlaw. I mean, even though they've addressed it somewhat through free agency and Kevin Givens and T.Y. McGill, I think that the Niners' injury history just shows you that how important it is to build depth, even at positions where you seem like really stacked. Maybe we'll take Maarten Mapu and convert him to linebacker. He doesn't have to play safety because so far you've got Hufanga, George Odom, who's a special teamer, Tashawn Gibson. He's on a 1-year deal, so he'll probably be gone after next year. Miles Hartsfield. Maybe we look for edge or interior lineman. Ian Brown. Ooh, Mohamed David. Oh, I love Mohamed Ibrahim, but he's on the smaller side. He's like 5'8", 5'9". Yeah, he's not a huge guy, but he did have 1,600 yards last year, so he can definitely run. That's not a problem. Maybe not a good fit for the Shanahan system either. Ooh, I like B.J. Thompson as Stephen F. Austin. He's just a raw athlete. He's huge. He's a massive dude. Didn't get invited to the combine. Don't know why, but he would have tested pretty well. He had 5 sacks. He was basically a 5 technique, I guess. And I'm sure he played 9 technique, lining up outside the tight ends. But we could look to get him later on with our 7th round picks. We could take a tight end if we have any left. Cameron Latu, Marshawn Ford, Brenton Strange. Marshawn Ford's a bit smaller. He's more like a Delaney Walker sized guy. Noah Gindorf, he's a blocking guy. 6'6", huge dude. Didn't have a ton of receiving yards or anything. Yeah, 74 yards on 8 catches. Probably take Brenton Strange here. I know that we've got like 3 or 4 tight ends on the roster. George Kittle, Charlie Warner, and Ross Dwelly, but the guys behind Kittle haven't really proven much as like receiving options. So we got 4 more picks, all 7th rounders. So I think we just take whichever players we like best here. Oh wow, Warren McClendon out of Georgia still here. BJ Dale, McClendon Curtis. I think I'll take BJ Thompson. I think that his ceiling is really high, and that's what the whole point of the draft is. You just develop players that aren't there yet in terms of production. I think that Aubrey Miller, I hit a ton of highlights in the Senior Bowl where he just like destroyed running backs on running back pass block drills. Can take a receiver. I mean, Juwan Jennings just got re-signed. Ray McLeod, he's a return specialist. Danny Gray, 3rd rounder from last year. Maybe he could play more. And maybe hold off on receiver. We're probably just drafting a linebacker at this point. Aubrey Miller, why not? Out of Jackson State University. Let's take another D lineman in Nesta J. Silvera just to bolster it up even more. Kimo Merriweather. They were top 3 defense in college, and I'm sure he was a big reason why, along with Riley Moss, Lucas Van Ness up front, Jack Campbell, the middle linebacker. Maybe would take an offensive lineman. 0 sacks and 0 hits this year for Illinois. What, they had Chase Brown in the backfield? Jeez, that's not too good. 3 sacks, 7 hits. Maybe we'll take Alex here out of Illinois as our last pick. So to go over our draft, we had 11 picks in total. So with our first pick, we took Wanya Morris out of Oklahoma. With our second, third round pick, we took Eli Ricks out of Bama. I think that's definitely a need, given that Travarius Ward is the only other guy outside who has true cornerback 1 potential. Diamond Lenore is still developing. Ambry Thomas is as well. They did sign Isaiah Oliver from the Falcons, but he's been a spotty corner. Then we got Dorian Williams. He's really instinctive and covers really well. He's a really good all-around linebacker. Then you got Anthony Johnson Jr. He dropped down, so we took him as a value there. He has corner and safety versatility, so that can definitely be useful. And then we got Broderick Martin. He's a nose tackle, also out of Western Kentucky. Then you got Maarten out of Sacramento State. He's also a tweener, safety linebacker, but depending on what he's better at, we'll just put him there. Then round 6, we got Brenton Strange, tight end from Penn State. Hopefully he'll fall in the footsteps of guys like Mike Gesicki and then turn out to be good receiving tight ends. But yeah, he's probably going to go in there and compete for a roster spot. And then you got BJ Thompson, the edge out of Stephen F. Austin. He's got a ton of potential, but his floor right now is really low, so he's definitely a developmental guy. Then you got Aubrey Miller. He can be a solid special teamer for sure, and if need be, he could play some snaps at linebacker. Then with our second and last pick, we got Kayvon Merriweather, 4th DB in this class. Just to add more depth. Tashawn Gibson's gone after next year. Talanoa Hufanga is basically your only good starting safety. You won't know if Anthony Johnson Jr. works out or not, or Marte Mapu moves a linebacker or something. So having him there is just more insurance. With our final pick, we took another offensive lineman, and Alex Palczewski. He could be a swing tackle or a backup on special team primarily, and just help block on field goals or punts. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something about these prospects. And yeah, peace out.